Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Alexander Creek, astrologer and intuitive. If you're listening to the audio version, welcome back to another episode of To the Stars and Astrology and Intuition podcast. In this video, we're going to be talking about the astrology from May 13th to May 18th, and there's frankly just a lot happening in those dates, so that's why that date range is very small. So we're going to be looking at the astrology of that, as well as the astrology of a listener of the podcast who had a new moon right on her birthday. So yay, happy new moon in Taurus to that listener. So we're going to be doing that at the end. Just a quick announcement off the top. I'm doing a 25% off sale off most readings available with me for my birthday, because my birthday's coming up on the 13th as well. Yay! So if you want to book that, just go ahead and check out the either the show notes. We'll have the link to my website, dogstaroracle.com, where you can book a session with me. Those sessions are all on Zoom. I record them for you. I either do intuitive readings where it's more of a psychic reading where we connect to your spirit guides and your higher self, or we do an astrology reading or a combination of both if you want. Everything is 25% off, except a couple things, which are I'll kind of link below. And then you'll just want to enter in the coupon code birthday when you are purchasing said reading. So again, all information is going to be in the show notes or comments below. Let's get to the rest of the video. All right, so the first aspect we're going to talk about is the Sun in Uranus conjunct at 23 degrees of Taurus. So this is a day where I would maybe say if you make plans, maybe be prepared to make changes on the fly or just kind of roll with the punches a little bit, because there's usually a surprise or two in store on during whenever we have Uranus conjunctions, because Uranus is the planet of revolution, of sudden upsets and change, but also like brilliant insight and ideas, and just kind of being tapped into like, because Uranus is the energy of like electricity and, you know, invention and kind of thinking outside of the box. So, you know, on one hand, there is a very kind of exciting energy to this day, and I would say though, like, if you use caffeine or like other stimulants, I would say you always kind of want to be careful around Uranus conjunctions, just because Uranus, again, it's the energy of like electricity. So it's very easy to kind of overdo these things. And I would really just kind of frankly watch where you're going, just because Uranus is like sudden upsets and sometimes can be a very accident prone energy. But I would say generally the energy of this day also kind of calls back to the new moon that we had on May 7th and May 8th, that energy of within that Taurus new moon of like breaking free of one's pre-existing limits or comfort zones and kind of embracing the unexpected and really kind of going for it. You may be tapping into more of this energy that day. So I also would mention as well, the Sun in astrology can kind of represent like divine awareness, essentially, like our connection to kind of like, you know, sort of like divine intelligence. So with this conjunction of the Sun and Uranus, I would also just kind of, you might want to keep a journal handy just for like aha moments, sudden ideas, and things that kind of just suddenly kind of pop in. So yeah, I would just kind of keep an eye on that energy, and again, just be prepared to like maybe make some changes on the fly, or it will just be interesting. Notice, even if it's not with you, maybe with people around you, just kind of dealing with like the sudden and unexpected things that can kind of come up in their lives. So, okay. So May 15th, we have Mercury, the planet of communication, entering Taurus. So Mercury has been very busy in Aries. Mercury has been in Aries for quite a few weeks. I forgot exactly when it went into Aries. I did not write that down, but I'm just going to continue. So we went through, Mercury has been in Aries a long time because we had a retrograde in Aries while Mercury was in it. So Mercury is finally leaving the energy of Aries, where it's more impetuous, more direct, very assertive, very quick. And it's going to Taurus, where it's much more steady in Taurus. Taurus is a very kind of practical kind of earth sign energy, and Mercury being how we think, how we communicate, our dialogue. Like Mercury in Taurus is more wanting to know and understand things that is connected to like the material world, what is real and what is solid, what is practical and what is deliberate. So there's a very kind of interesting shift as soon as Mercury enters Taurus. However, what makes Mercury venturing into Taurus really interesting right away is that on May 17th, Mercury will make a square, which is like a 90-degree aspect in astrology that is a very kind of dynamic, kind of loud aspect to Pluto, the planet of intensity and death and rebirth and transformation. And, whenever Mercury makes squares to Pluto, it's kind of like this detective energy coming out, like seeking information that is maybe hidden from view, or seeking a kind of depth of understanding. And this can be really good energy for ferreting out information that might be secret, or researching or uncovering the truth, essentially. And I would say kind of around this date, this is like having maybe conversations that really kind of probe like deeper, essentially. Like this can be like, hey, let's talk about like our issues that we've been having as like, a couple or something. Or just because Pluto tends to be about kind of venturing sort of into the depths, essentially. So this can either be good for because it is Taurus, so like maybe like researching sort of like financial things, or like going like frankly like if you need to sort of find like a little hidden detail within like financial records or something, it can be really good for that. Or it could just be really good for deepening things with the mind. However, I will say with this energy, I would say maybe be prepared for maybe having just frankly like intense conversations, or conversations that just kind of go beyond surface level stuff. And again, it is really good for investigation and research, even if it is just because this is a square aspect, which is technically a hard aspect, and can be a little bit more, sometimes like a little bit more difficult, or just not like a super smooth ride. I would just maybe be prepared for maybe tense conversations, essentially, and really kind of wanting to know the truth about something is something that I would look at with this aspect. And again, this, I don't think I mentioned it, this aspect is happening within at 2 degrees. So if you have, your planets that you have at 2 degrees of Aquarius or Taurus or Scorpio or Leo might feel this energy the most, essentially. All right, so let's talk about May 18th. There are 3 major aspects happening all on the same day. And so let's kind of go through them one at a time. Because I was looking at this and I was like, wow, I feel a little overwhelmed just by looking at this energy. But let's go through each thing one by one here. So first of all, you may want to look at the Taurus part of your chart. And if you don't know where the Taurus part of your chart is, but you do know what your rising sign is, refer back to my new moon in Taurus video and scroll and find your rising sign horoscope, because the life areas that I'm speaking to here will also may be highlighted or affected by these next 2 aspects I'm going to talk about, because they are occurring in the sign of Taurus, which means they're happening in the Taurus part of your chart. So first of all, we have the Sun in Jupiter conjunct at 28 degrees of Taurus. So Jupiter in Taurus has been here for about a year. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and opportunity and blessings. And sometimes, not even blessings, but sometimes Jupiter can just expand and make more of something, and it's not necessarily a blessing. However, Jupiter is usually considered a planet that is affirming and that is a more fortunate kind of energy. So Jupiter is really preparing to wrap up its time in Taurus. And the next video or podcast that I'm going to have, I'm going to be talking about Jupiter going into Gemini, which is a really big shift in your personal chart and also in the collective consciousness. So Jupiter is wrapping up in Taurus here. So Jupiter has been expanding, maybe bringing blessings or simply just expanding things in the Taurus part of your chart since about, I think, May 15th of 2023. And it's going to be shifting into Gemini on May 25th. So this Sun and Jupiter conjunction at 28 degrees Things may seem possible that wasn't possible before. This is at the very least, this is a day to kind of have like a positive outlook on things. This is optimism essentially. And this is a feeling of like, oh, things maybe are kind of, maybe in this part of your chart, it's feeling that like things are going well, or there's maybe a solution to something that comes in. A Sun Jupiter conjunction can also mean like, just maybe tapping into like feelings of just like of giving of yourself or some charity or giving back to others or just like some generosity essentially. Jupiter can also signify like this can also be a day to study something or expand your mind or connect to meditation or spirituality, because it is typically connected to like higher mind kind of stuff. Also, it will be opportunity and expansion around Jupiter in Taurus things, and Jupiter in Taurus things are like things connected to like the material world. Maybe creating more material security for yourself, or things just connected to like kind of delighting in physical senses. Essentially, things that bring you pleasure and security are very much connected to Taurus energy. So it could just be like this is a good day to like. A Sun Jupiter conjunction in Taurus might be like, I'm going to go have like a picnic and like share it with my friends or something. Could be something very connected to this energy, because Taurus is like material senses, delighting in like physical body kind of stuff. Remember, at the same time, we still have Venus, the planet of love and beauty, in Taurus as well. So I would just say be cautious to not overdo. That's always kind of something I want to say when we have Jupiter stuff going on, because Jupiter can overdo. So maybe practice some moderation. But this is an optimistic note to this day at the very least. So the next thing we have is more stuff going on in Taurus. This one is really interesting because we have a conjunction of Venus, the planet of love, beauty, harmony, connection, pleasure, with Uranus, the planet of revolution, sudden upsets and changes, at 18 degrees of Taurus. So this is happening right at the degree of the new moon that we had May 7th and May 8th. So maybe whatever new topics or new opportunities or that feeling of like suddenly breaking through one's comfort zones, it's going to be connected to those same topics. This is really going to be focused on relationships, our connections with others. This could be about a sudden new opportunity or sudden new experience within your relationships or your connections with others, particularly if you have, again, points in your chart or placements that are very connected to within a few degrees of 18 degrees of the fixed signs of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And, this could be a sudden new partner. This could be like a sudden new relationship or partnership opportunity. There's something in the air this day that is like maybe just seeking something different and unusual that would bring pleasure. So it could be things we could see some stuff in the news around like fashion, around like really different and unusual kind of fashion stuff, because Venus is connected to fashion. It could be something as simple as like, I really prefer Diet Coke. I drink Diet Coke every day. I'm not saying I do, but let's say that you drink Diet Coke every day. And then this day, all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I want a Coke. I want a cherry Coke. Just like, switching some sort of preference for something connected to food or something that, again, brings sort of like nourishment. Or this could also be, an energy where something may be kind of calling to you to kind of break through the sort of stale and boring, connected to relationships or connected to art or music or things that bring sort of pleasure. It's sort of like this is a day that you might be called to just sort of make a kind of bold kind of change, essentially, or just a craving of different experience. This could also be, frankly, unexpected disruptions within relationship or things connected to Venus, so things that bring pleasure and art, essentially. This could be impatience with the way that things have been going in relationships. I would say with a Venus-Uranus conjunction, it's like you do want to be, it's like there is a benefit to kind of just jumping in and making a change sometimes, but there is also sometimes you can be too impatient with this energy, because Uranus, you kind of want it now, essentially. It's like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick of doing the same old thing. Let's just change it. So, This again could be, a bump in the road in relationship. It could honestly, it could you prompt you to talk about things with your partner if things have been kind of stale or boring or or whatever it is. I will say things connected to finances. Again, this is a very impulsive energy, so I would maybe think before you purchase something. It could be a really good thing that you are purchasing, but I would maybe just take a second because you're more likely to kind of swipe your credit card without thinking about how you're going to pay for it later, kind of with around this energy. So just keep that in mind during the Venus and Uranus conjunction. So the Taurus part of your chart is going to be popping off on this day. And I would say, that energy may reverberate for a couple days after, especially as the moon kind of gets involved to kind of trigger that energy a couple days later when it goes into Scorpio. So the next thing that we have that day, this is the last aspect of that day, is May 18th. We have so same day, May 18th. This is a different sign. This is going to be focusing on the Aries and Libra part of your charts. So the Aries and Libra part of your charts, we just went through eclipses. We've had the North and South node in those houses for some time, bringing beginnings, endings to the Aries and Libra part of your chart. So if you want to know more about that, I haven't done a video on YouTube, but I did a video on my podcast before I was back on YouTube. So I would look up To the Stars if you were watching the video version to kind of find out more about the areas that rule Aries and Libra for you. But anyway, so we have Mars conjunct the North Node. So Mars is in Aries right now. Mars will be in Aries for a couple more weeks still, I think through early June. I don't have the date at the top of my head right now. But Mars is the planet of action, asserting yourself, war, conflict, heat, battle, red hot passion is kind of Mars energy. And Mars is in the sign that it rules right now. Mars is in Aries. So, Mars is really comfortable in Aries. It's able to be courageous, to be a leader, to kind of charge in. And really, Mars in Aries is giving all of us on a personal level a little dose of like just do it kind of energy. Like don't make excuses, just charge in and go for it, essentially. And so Mars with the North Node tends to increase things. It tends to it's sort of like whatever we're hitting, whatever planet is hitting the North Node is going to be kind of magnified by that energy. So there's just a lot of Mars energy around the 18th. So a lot of energy around bravery, courage, just do it, especially connected to the other topics that I already talked about. Like if you want to make a change, if you want to just go for it, it just really feels like a very dynamic, kind of active day. The Mars conjunct North Node aspect is very assertive. It's around taking action and really kind of this all-consuming desire and hunger for just like, like I'm going to get in there and kind of kick ass. Like I've been thinking about doing something new and I'm just going to do it. I would say there's a lot of heat and passion around this day in general, especially connected to that Venus and Uranus aspect that I talked about. I would say maybe take caution to not go overboard. It does feel like taking action in some way or taking initiative it's going to be something you're probably going to be doing, that all of us are going to be doing on some level around this day. This energy is also about fighting too, and going and frankly on a global war on a global level, it does kind of make me a little worrisome about like aggressive military action. But on a personal level, it's like you may be going to war about something, or just like, just kind of charging in, essentially. So you're going to want to get out some kind of physical energy and some kind of energy of taking initiative through some healthy means, whether that is a workout, gym, sweating. I would just recommend sweating somehow this day and like getting some kind of physical exertion in, or accomplish things on your to-do list. This is not really a day to kind of sit on your laurels, rest on your laurels. You will want to accomplish some things on your to-do list, because this energy does feel like if you don't, it's sort of like you could just stir a little pot of crazy, essentially. So I would say use it for a constructive means. Last thing about this energy is that, it could be about like if you do need to speak your truth or, or kind of get into a little, healthy, necessary conflict or kind of, like anything around like, healthy establishment of boundaries or something. This can really kind of help you do that. But yeah, I would say just maybe take caution to not go overboard. Lastly, this might be a really good day for sexual activity. Like just kind of getting it out through that means, because it does feel red hot kind of energy that day. So anyway, that is the energy around May 18th. Okay, so lastly in this video, we're going to be looking at the chart of a listener of my podcast whose birthday actually fell right on the new moon in Taurus. So happy birthday to Beth. I'm going to pull up her chart now. And I'm just going to share some things that I see in the chart generally, and then we'll look at maybe kind of what this new moon is bringing in for her, as well as a little bit about like the themes of maybe what to expect at the age that she is turning. So let me share this. If this shares properly, we will see. Okay. So, all right. So first of all, a couple things that I notice in this chart right away. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the fact that so Beth is a Cancer rising. So right at where it says it's that AS, that's the sign that was rising when she was born, and that really kind of sets up the entire chart. The rising is about like attitude, approach to life, physical body, and appearance. And the ruling planet that is connected to that rising sign is going to maybe just tell us like a lot about. It's going to give us a lot of really helpful information about this person. So, oh, and by the way, I'm looking at the inner wheel because that's this person's birth chart. The planets kind of on the outer wheel are the planets in the sky right now. So Beth is Cancer rising, so Beth, you're really connected to the energy of the moon. So it's kind of funny. I think you found me on the moon episode of a tarot podcast, if I remember correctly. So there's a so first of all, Cancer is associated with like Cancer usually has like really intense emotional connections to people that it would consider like family or chosen family or like its clan. Essentially, it's more of a protective. It can be like more of more of a protective energy, more of a kind of sensitive, kind of nurturing kind of quality. Not every Cancer rising is going to be the sensitive kind of mama bear type, essentially, because we would look to your moon to kind of talk about maybe what kind of Cancer rising that you are. You're very connected to the mind, because there's a lot going on with your moon that I find really interesting. So looking at your moon in Virgo is going to be helpful in kind of talking about like who you are as a person. And first of all, having moon in Virgo, so the moon is about how you are, how you nourish yourself, how you are nurtured. A lot about your relationship to your physical body as well, because the moon can be about physical body, especially in your chart, because the moon rules your ascendant, so physical body, identity stuff. So you have the moon in Virgo. This is a very kind of analytical moon. Essentially, it can be very moon in Virgo can be very critical. Kind of looking at, because Virgo is a sign that's connected to like making systems more efficient, and this is a sign that's sort of all about like being of service. Essentially, like you really kind of, I think a lot of times you really want to call like a Virgo moon in an emergency because they're able to see the situation very clearly, right? The moon in Virgo is also connected to healing and service, and you may be just sort of connected to those themes. Virgo is a sign that's ruled by Mercury, which is all about the mind, and you actually have the moon in a trine to Mercury, and I just I just feel like maybe this could be really connected to like study or research or writing, communication, anything where you are engaging the mind is very much present in your chart. You actually have the moon in the third house of communication, of studying, of learning things, and also I believe traditionally the moon is considered to be in its joy when it's found in the third house, meaning that daily routine and ritual um, would be something that that you could be very connected to. This is kind of where, um, this is sort of like, there's just like a lot of goddess energy to kind of be found here, and connecting to that kind of divine feminine goddess energy, like in a sort of ritualistic or daily routine kind of way, is kind of what I find here. I just find like a lot of connection to how you take care of yourself every day, and also sort of communion with goddess energy. So this would be like very this is literally like, um I would say like pulling a tarot card every day, or connecting with some maybe form of like divination every day, would be really, I think that's like a really kind of interesting expression of your chart. But this could be journaling, writing, meditating, something where you're sort of like that mind kind of body connection comes in. I kind of want to say like do that every day, but also just things connected to the mind in general. That's like, I just feel like you have a very kind of, there's a very kind of analytical mind quality to your chart because of your moon in Virgo stuff going on. Um, let's see, what else do I want to talk about? So let's talk about maybe kind of what is going on for you, maybe just sort of right now. So there's a couple things that I'm noticing right away, even before I get to the new moon stuff. So first of all, transiting Saturn. So Saturn kind of moving about in the sky, is about kind of what lessons we're learning, um, where we have to work harder, things that we want to sort of bring structure and kind of long-term energy, and just really things, and also things that can be about like limitation and delays and just kind of the grind. Okay, there's something going on in career for you right now, because Saturn is sort of hovering right over your midheaven. Saturn is, when you have Saturn kind of conjunct your midheaven right now, it just tells me that I feel like we're working hard towards something in career. There's maybe more responsibility that we're feeling in career. We could be taking on some kind of larger role. We could be feeling some kind of these sort of like limitation or sort of delays energy, or we're just sort of like I just feel like this energy, like we are working on something serious connected to our career. This is also an extension of your Saturn return. So, Saturn cycles are about 7 years. So I would say about, how old are you? I forgot. So about, I don't know, 7-ish years ago, 7, maybe 8 years ago, you would have been right in your Saturn return. Because Saturn is also squaring Saturn essentially right now, or it will be square Saturn like later, like a little bit later this year. And you're feeling probably that by sign right now. So there's something also connected to not just career, but also like maybe what you do every day for work, or connected to your work routines or your to-do list, or how you go about getting work done. Perhaps there's some sort of shift happening, kind of within that department that you are feeling right now. It also could be health stuff as well, kind of like managing different sort of health routines and physical body health wellness, just because it's hitting Saturn in your sixth house of health and work. Um, the another thing that I'm noticing too is the eclipses. So the Aries and Libra eclipses that we've been feeling since last April, but really I think more intensely since last August, or since last October 2023. Maybe feelings of beginnings and endings and changes happening in the career part of your chart, as well as the home and family part of your chart as well. So, eclipses can feel kind of destabilizing, especially when we're in sort of like eclipse time. Because sometimes they're not always comfortable beginnings. They're not always comfortable endings. And this is also your nodal return, meaning the North Node, which is what kind of essentially where eclipses happen, or on the nodal axis, it will be conjunct your North and South Node. So I just kind of feel like maybe there's like a faded feeling, a feeling of like, and specifically a feeling of maybe getting aligned to maybe something new happening in your career path, or just kind of like the universe aligning you to something going forward somewhere in your career, or what you are known for, I feel like is coming up here. We're not to the exact nodal return yet. That's still coming up. I also would say right now the North Node is conjunct to your Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and opportunity, travel, and wisdom. So there could be maybe new opportunities. I'm going to say regarding career, this could be like, so like Jupiter is specifically about teaching, mind expansion, and wisdom. So this maybe could be bringing in like a new teacher. This maybe could be bringing in some sort of new opportunities that would be connected to your overall career path, because Jupiter does rule your career sector in your chart. As well as like work stuff too. So like, not just like big picture career, but also like your job. I feel like maybe there could be some expansion or some new things connected to these areas of your chart. At the very least, I would say this is probably a time of sort of like mind expansion, wisdom, learning new things, while the North Node is sitting right on your Jupiter. So definitely kind of activating those eclipse themes for you. And those, the last eclipses that we had were March 25th, which was a South Node eclipse in Libra. So maybe bringing in some kind of home and family stuff. And then we had a North Node eclipse, solar eclipse in Aries on the, oh gosh, I can't remember. I think it was April 8th. It was April 8th. And that would have fallen in your career sector, but also that eclipse could have brought in some relational stuff for you, some stuff about like relationships, pleasure, maybe some endings or beginnings, or just kind of friction in that part of your chart. And maybe also connected to home and family themes, because Venus does rule your home and family sector. So talking about the new moon. So this is a really fortunate new moon. So this does feel like an overall new beginning. And I will say, when you turned, I think you turned, God, how old are you? I'm so sorry. I did this already. 2024 minus. So when you turn 37, by the way, you're going into a second house profection year. So it's definitely going to bring up, so age 37, it's definitely going to bring up more topics around your money, income, and finances. I'm going to say maybe there's going to be some gains here, or some new beginnings connected to this part of your chart, because your second house is ruled by Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. And right on your birthday, we have this really fortunate new moon, this energy of like striking new beginnings, breaking out of one's comfort zones, and kind of breakthrough energy, and really a lot of fortunate energy in the Taurus part of your chart. Also some kind of shocking energy, or like, oh my God, I'm really going to go for this. Like, this is kind of scary. But this part of your chart has to do with, groups that you belong to, professional organizations, your colleagues, friends, and also just kind of your hopes, wishes, and goals for the future. And this is a more kind of fortunate house in general. So it feels like this new moon, because it's happening on your birthday, this energy is really baked into your solar return chart. So your chart for the next year, essentially, until you turn age 38. There is a lot going on connected to your goals for the future, what you are reaching for. Like, you're sort of reaching for the stars, right? It's like there feels like that there is expansion here. There feels like, and again, anything connected to like working with people, collaborating with groups, opportunities through like governmental organizations or something like that could come in here as well. Also, because this new moon is also conjunct your Mercury. Mercury is again connected to the mind and communication. So, but furthermore, Mercury rules your third house, as well as your 12th house. So I'm gonna say, I don't really know how to put that exactly. I'm just gonna say anything around learning and the mind, I kind of feel like this new moon supports essentially. Because I was like, I actually don't have anything prepared on that, but it does feel like overall, like a really, I'm gonna say like it does feel like getting ahead, accomplishing objectives and goals, and also things connected to again, new things connected to career. I'm just kind of feeling there's a lot of serious energy connected to career on like kind of getting ahead. And really, I just kind of feel like this could be a year of some accomplishments, exactly, or even like being like recognized for something. So I'm not sure exactly what you are in the middle of, but it does feel like, um, I don't know. It just feels like this is a more kind of fortunate new moon energy, even if you are still kind of having those eclipses kind of bouncing back and forth between those 10th and 4th houses. I just, anyway, so that is all. So those are my thoughts. So I hope that's helpful. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like, subscribe, leave a comment, and make sure to click that little notification bell so you don't miss a video. I'll be talking next about the astrology for the rest of the rest of the month in my in my next video, including Jupiter and Gemini. If you're listening to the audio version of this, make sure that you give it 5 stars so more people can find it. And if you're interested in working with me as well, make sure that I don't know, book a session. So I am going to be offering a discount on readings for my birthday as well. So make sure to take advantage of that sale if you feel called to. So anyway, I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks so much.